Don't you all wish that you had as much fun grocery shopping as this person? Now, I don't even know if you guys have even had the chance to grocery shop on your own yet. Maybe some of you guys have, maybe some of you haven't. But we are going to talk a little bit about that today because there will be a point in time where you will be doing that all on your own, okay? So that's what you have to look forward to today. All right, so last time we were together, we looked at basic nutrition. Okay, so I hope you guys got a little bit out of that, although it is basic, so some of you guys might have known every bit that I talked about. So today, actually before we go on to that, I'm really hoping that your weekly food plan went okay. Some of you guys were going to write out basically what you're going to eat the following week. Some of you guys were taking note of what you were eating that week. But most importantly, I want you guys to focus on what areas you think you need to improve on. That's part of your weekly eating plan. So if you haven't done that yet and you're watching this, make sure that not only you give a kind of a approximate calorie count for each of those foods that you list for each day. Tell me which food group. So you're just using that template, okay? Make 7 days worth of that template. But most importantly is at the end, what areas do you think you need to improve on? Because this is really to look at what you're eating now and then go from there. Maybe you don't need any improvements, that's fine, but maybe you do, okay? So anyways, that's last time. This time, smart shopping. And then also we're going to talk about cooking and food safety. Because again, you guys are going to be on your own at some point. Maybe some of you guys already are. These are things that I wish someone would have told me about when I was in high school and getting ready to be out on my own. Because I tell you, I had to learn the hard way about shopping, about how to cook healthy meals. So anyways, I'm glad that I can share this with you guys. All right, so of course, time to get our feet wet. So I've got one funny video. I've got a couple during the whole thing, but this first funny video is, man, something that I guarantee I will try at some point. I won't be as talented as this person, but talk about making grocery shopping fun. So watch this, called Shufflin' Shoppin'. How many of you guys are tired just watching that? So anyways, it was almost over, but I love that video because not only is he having a kickin' time shopping, he's getting his exercise. I don't know how much I'd be able to focus doing that. I might probably just dance in the aisles and forget to get my food, but anyways, grocery shopping can be fun. All right, so let's talk about it. First of all, when we talk about shopping, meal planning, and saving money, coupons, I'll tell you about me, coupons are my middle name. I think coupons are really such a great way to save on stuff. Now, some people argue with you and they'll be like, yeah, but you're buying stuff that you probably wouldn't normally buy. No, I use the coupons for the stuff that I buy. So the thing is you can save, depending on if you hit it, a double coupon day or whatever it might be. You'd be amazed. It used to be a game to me. I would see how much money I saved, and I was saving anywhere from $10 to $30. So you'll see some people. I think there's a show out there about that and how much people can save on couponing. Okay, here's some good tips. These are just general tips about shopping and eating, and I've got a couple different tips as we go throughout this. But first of all, use leftovers. That's one way to save money. Okay, I know that when you guys get out on your own, believe me, I've been there, that money is scarce. You have a job that pays not a ton. You're working, you're probably trying to go to school, you're doing whatever. Maybe some of you guys are raising families. So you need to save money. So use leftovers. Oh my gosh, I use leftovers like no other. I make new meals out of them or just eat the leftovers. Do that. Don't throw them out. Okay? Use perishables before they go bad, which is hard. Like fruits and veggies go bad a lot quicker than if you have boxed pastas and canned stuff, but it's much better for you. So just plan some meals that work around some of the perishables, okay? Because that's really obviously a good idea, so that you're not wasting your money on that. Shop sales. Every week you have an ad that comes out for Safeway and an ad that comes out for King Soopers. Now you might make 2 trips, one Safeway, one at King Soopers, but you can look through there and see what things are on sale. You'd be amazed at how cheap you can get some things if you shop their sales and you use the coupons with them, okay? So look through the local newspaper. Also on Sundays they have the coupons, so you can always get those coupons. Clip and use coupons. They are helpful, okay? Base some or parts of your meals on inexpensive, nutrient-dense items. Grains and beans are a great example. Grains are really nutrient-dense, meaning there's tons of nutrients, but also they're good for you and they're very satiating, so they fill you up. Same with beans, any kind of protein type stuff like that. And they're cheap. Lovely. Cut back on high quantities of meat in recipes like stews or soups, because obviously meat is really expensive. I make a ton of stews that really require maybe 1 chicken breast, maybe a pound of ground beef or ground turkey. So really it doesn't have to have a bunch of meat in there. Just know that stews can taste good without meat. I love meat, but they can still taste good. Consider non-brand items, so you don't have to shoot for the brand names. Okay, these items can be considerably less expensive and they have the exact same ingredients. Compare those ingredients though, okay? So when I say compare the ingredients, it means you actually have to look at the food labels, okay? When I was a kid, these didn't even exist. They didn't list anything that was in food. You never knew what you were eating. So you should be blessed and feel blessed because you can see these. So back in the day, it wasn't required to put those on. But I'm glad it's mandatory now, because if you take the time to look, you'll see exactly what you're getting in your food. So it can help you make some choices based on, if you look at something and you're like, oh my gosh, 12 grams of fat in 1 serving, no thanks. So really you can make some good, wise choices based on those food labels. So I hope some of you guys pay attention, but I'm not sure. So if you don't and you say no to this question, you might want to start paying attention, okay? Just start looking at them. You don't have to analyze them and sit there forever, but start knowing what they are basically comprised of. So I'm going to show you real quick what to kind of really focus on. When you look at a nutrition label, you're going to see kind of these similar things, these similar features. And it's great because this one, even though this isn't a huge picture, it kind of takes you through the whole food label and it's perfect. It says start here. So notice it shows the servings and the serving size. So say for instance, you guys need to pay attention to how many servings per container, because think about like a can of soup. You open up a can of soup, you heat it up, and you eat the whole thing, which is very easy for me. Okay, cans of soup aren't huge. But you look at the nutrition facts and you see that there's actually 2 servings for that 1 can. So you just ate 2 servings, not just 1. Then you have to double all of this. So it can be kind of deceiving. Same as like a Gatorade bottle. You drink a whole Gatorade, you're like, I'm so thirsty. And you're like, oh, no big deal. Oh, there's only 90 calories in there. Oh, there's 3 servings. That means there's 270 calories that I just drank. Okay, so pay attention to the serving size. So obviously the calories, it's going to tell you the calories per serving. It's going to tell you the total fat. So it's going to tell you saturated fat, which is the fat you want to stay away from. Okay, not good fat. So you want to have a low number. Trans fats, come on, go for 0. Okay, if you see any trans fats, put that back up on the shelf. If you don't know this yet, but trans fats are basically fat that your body can't even recognize or break down. So it's like, what is this? All right, I'll just let it sit in your body forever. Who knows? It's like plastic. Awesome. So don't eat anything with trans fat in there. Cholesterol, you want to keep that to a minimum. Sodium, keep that to a minimum. Potassium, good thing. Okay, if you see any kind of vitamins and minerals, those are great. Fiber, good thing. You want high numbers of those. Your carbohydrates are broken down into fiber and sugars. Obviously, fiber is a great thing. Gets things moving, Remember I said that last time? And sugars, not so good. You want to keep those low, okay? Protein's good, and here's your vitamins and minerals. These percentages are the daily percentages that basically this is giving you, and this is saying that you're having a normal 2100 calorie per day diet, okay? So if you were to eat whatever this is, your fat, you would have already taken 18% of what you can have for that daily allotment, basically, okay? So look at those nutrition facts, start to get a little bit more familiar with those. While you're shopping, watch for advertising. Look for words such as free, low, high, lean, because those are kind of keywords. Low fat, good job. Lean, awesome. Fat free, I hate fat free because it tastes gross, but you know, still good. But those are good things to watch for. So once you start shopping, I want you guys to kind of know some of these things, because again, I didn't know these at your age. So this will be helpful. I promise. You'll be like 5-10 years down the road, you're like, oh, I'm so glad Howie taught us this. No, I hope that sometime you actually think, wow, this was helpful. So here's some tips. Have a menu in mind. A lot of times people will make out their week so that they know what to shop for, because sometimes if you don't, you're just like, oh, I'll get this and this, and then you get home and you're like, what do I make with this? I can't even make a full meal. So have a menu in mind and then make a grocery list ahead of time. Don't just try to wing it, because you'll always forget stuff. I always do that, so I have to have a list, okay? Compare prices. Go when you're not super stressed for time, and be able to sit there and say, okay, this is this much, this is this much. Let's compare the labels. Okay, those are, well, I'll take the cheaper one. So be able to actually compare prices. Avoid impulse buying, okay? So don't be like, oh, that looks great there. I'm just gonna try this, okay? That's an impulse buy. Get what's on your list and don't deviate. Be wary of misleading packaging and labels, okay? So some things will say, all natural, but maybe it's not. I mean, you have to be careful about some of that stuff. People will try to mislead you. Try to shop once a week. Short, frequent trips can really waste your time and you end up impulse buying. Shop when stores aren't crowded so that you don't make hasty decisions and you're like, oh, I'm in someone's way, I'm just going to grab that real quick, okay? And then biggest thing, which I think is funny but true, don't shop when you're hungry. There's so many times where I've gone to the store starving and I'm like, I'm just so hungry. Oh, I'll just get these Twinkies. No, just kidding. I haven't eaten Twinkies in forever. But maybe it's just even tortilla chips, which aren't horrible for you. But do I really need that? Is that on my list? Not so much. So don't go when you're hungry, okay? Saving money is definitely a good idea. Things are expensive. Food is going up in price. So compare the prices in the weekly ads. Use coupons, okay? For only things you need, though. So if there's like something random that you're like, oh, here's a coupon, but if you're not going to eat it and you don't normally eat it, don't get it. That's still a waste of money. Costco. If you guys like shopping in bulk, Costco rocks. I love Costco. One of my favorite stores. But mostly because it is cheaper, and I am a big bargain shopper. Now, there are certain things at Costco that may not be that much cheaper, but for the most part, if you're going to buy in bulk, you're going to save money. Okay, so Costco is a good thing, but you have to be able to eat all that stuff too and store it. All right, so cooking. Let's go on to cooking a little bit. Cooking's not just for girls. You boys that might be watching it, don't tune me out, okay? It's not just for girls. Guys can cook too, so you need to know some of these things. Some important things when you're handling food, okay? This will prevent lots of horrible things like food poisoning, okay? The first thing is cleaning. You got to make sure that you're using clean utensils, that you're cleaning your hands. So in general, you want a clean surface, a clean kind of area to start prepping your food and start cooking and putting together. You want to separate your foods, okay? So think about like when you're cutting up on different cutting boards. You don't want to slice up your raw chicken and then you're like, ooh, how about these veggies? Let's slice that up and get all that bacteria. Ew. Separate your foods. Keep them separate. Your meat should stay separate from your veggies, from your fruits, and from stuff like that, because there can be bacteria on raw meat that you do not want to contaminate. Cooking, you want to keep that in mind. We'll get into the temperatures that you need to get to, and then the last thing is storing and chilling. Okay, so let's go over those a little bit more in depth. So the cleanliness part, washing your hands, keeping those utensils clean. You don't want a sink like this, please. That will harbor bacteria. I guarantee. You have food sitting there for a day or two. Gross, okay? So keep everything clean, including washing your hands. Separating. So you have a different cutting board for each thing. This one is for veggies. You can see this one's for meat, well, beef. This one's for poultry. So keep those separate, because even especially, and I have to say especially wooden cutting boards, some of that bacteria can actually stick in there even if you wash it, okay? That's why I actually prefer the plastic ones, because you can disinfect them a little bit easier than you can the wood, okay? But keep things separate. Cross-contamination, if you introduce bacteria from one thing to another, then obviously you just contaminate. So here's the thing. You cut up chicken, and then you may cook it, so you lose all the bacteria from there. Great, because you cook it to a certain temperature and it kills everything. But then you've just cross-contaminated all of your vegetables. So you're still getting that gross bacteria, like maybe E. coli, that could actually be incredibly harmful and life-threatening, okay? So be aware of cross-contamination. So cooking is key. You have to make sure that you reach an internal temperature of whatever it needs to be depending on what you're cooking, okay? So you can always look those up. I don't know the exact ones for everything, but right now it's showing that hamburger needs to be 160 degrees internally, inside there, in order to know that you have killed off all the bacteria that's necessary, okay? So meats need to be thoroughly cooked and at the right temperature. Otherwise, bacteria can still live and exist in those foods, okay? So also the last thing is storing and chilling your foods. So obviously gross. You open up the fridge and you're like, nasty. Or maybe you forgot about a piece of bread that's been underneath, I don't know, something, out and open, and you open it up and there's all these nice fuzzy creatures growing. Well, that's mold, okay? Mold will grow even in the fridge, but chilling things slows that process down, because mold and bacteria and stuff like that need a nice warm environment to grow, but they will eventually grow. So even in the fridge, you'll see that happening. The freezer almost stops that process. So I do freeze a lot. I freeze a ton, and when I'm ready to use it, then I use it. But obviously, refrigerators are necessary too, but make sure that you store food properly. Don't let it sit on the counter too long. Store it, but eat it within a week, okay? All right. Bacteria will grow tenfold if it's not properly stored or chilled, obviously. So here's my last funny video. This might get stuck in your head, but again, you want to make sure that you're careful with the way you handle food, because you don't want to be like this guy. Ready? Watch this.
I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I don't wanna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I don't wanna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. Oh God. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna throw. You don't want to be like that, seriously. Okay. Last thing we're gonna talk about: healthy cooking. So try to cook meals that are low in fat and sugar and sodium. Those are things that really you should be able to do pretty easily. Stock the fridge with healthy foods. If you have healthy foods in your fridge, that's what you're gonna eat. You're not gonna crave the crap that maybe you have stored behind something, like, ooh, I'm gonna hide some Skittles here and some Rolos here and some Twinkies and Ding Dongs and whatever. Okay, don't buy that stuff. If you don't buy it, you're not gonna miss it, I promise. You might crave it once in a while, and that's okay to go and get it. But if you have it all the time and you have it on hand, you're gonna eat it every day, okay? So here's some tips. Avoid frying or deep frying foods. That's not necessary, okay? You can bake things. So try roasting and baking, and grilling is my favorite for summertime. Stir frying is good with some olive oil. Those are all healthier cooking methods than just frying or deep frying things, okay? Steam your veggies when you can. Although raw veggies are awesome, but steamed veggies just give kind of a different texture, and sometimes you just need a change. So steamed veggies are great. Although veggies in general, even if you eat canned, I don't care what kind of veggies, just eat some veggies, for goodness sakes. They're good. Okay, instead of using salt, maybe add some herbs like garlic and onion, different kind of herbs, spices for flavor. Now I do like a little bit of salt here and there, but don't overdo it. A lot of foods already have a ton of sodium in it, so be careful of that. Use very small amounts of butter, cheeses, and sauces because those are what we call kind of empty calories. They don't really have any nutrients to them, and they're just full of calories. So be careful about what you're putting on your broccoli. This big cheese sauce, you all of a sudden make something healthy unhealthy. Substitute unhealthy ingredients for healthier choices. So instead of putting that cheese sauce on there, how about maybe some, spray it with some olive oil. They have that spray olive oil, and maybe a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Okay, don't overdo it. There's some healthy options. They have those flavored almond slivers that you can put those in, different veggies. So there's so many ways to make things taste good. Promise. All right, so I think I've talked your ear off enough. Hopefully you guys will go and enjoy shopping and grocery shopping and eating and all that fun stuff, because really it can be fun and it can be fun to be healthy. So that's it for now.